Okay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the time when you're watching this video. Our topic for today is about communicative competence strategies in various speech situations. By the way, this will be the very first topic that is included in the finals grading. I hope that you will work harder and work more seriously in the finals grading since it will be the last grading period for this semester. With that, let us now proceed to our discussion proper. But first, let us define what is speech context. Speech context is what people consider in communicating and transmitting messages orally or verbally. Speech context contains all of the factors or situations or bases in order to communicate successfully with the other people using our mouth or our voices. Speech context basically should be the main consideration in having a successful oral communication, depending on the size or the kind of people to whom we are communicating with. So that is the speech context. Context is critical because it tells you, the receiver, what importance to place on something. So since speech context contains different factors or considerations that should be think of in the oral communication, it's important to adjust your speech or your communication depending on the context, since the context itself is one of the factors that make the oral communication successful. So you should think on the number or the size of people whom you're communicating with, and also the channel that you're using to communicate with other people, even to yourself. So that is the speech context. Okay, so let's have a traffic light reflection for the speech context. Kindly raise your hand if you're in the red color, which means that you did not understand the lesson. Yellow color, which means that you have some questions or clarifications. And then green color, which means that you fully understand the lesson. Let's proceed to the types of speech context. So there are two types of speech context. The first one is the intrapersonal communication, and the second one is the interpersonal communication. Let us first proceed to intrapersonal communication. So when we say interpersonal communication, it centers in one person where the speaker acts both as the sender and the receiver of message. Interpersonal communication basically is you talking to yourself. You are asking yourself and you're also answering yourself. In other words, interpersonal means that it's only you. You're both the sender and the receiver. It doesn't involve any other people except you. This is usually done without the presence of the other people, since if the others are watching you talking to yourself, then maybe they will get puzzled or they will just laugh at you. So in interpersonal communication as well, the channel is your brain and there's a feedback through self-talk. So why brain is the channel in the interpersonal communication? It's because you don't necessarily need your mouth or your voice to talk to yourself. And then when it comes on the feedback, it goes just back and forth to yourself. Since interpersonal communication also means self-talk. Let's have some examples of interpersonal communication. So you spent the night thinking and analyzing why a student from the other class talked to you on the way home, and you decided it probably meant nothing. So in this situation, you're asking yourself why it happened. You are thinking why it occurred, or why is the situation was just like that. So basically, you ask yourself, and you will also answer yourself. Another one, you felt happy while thinking about how your teacher appreciated you for submitting your project before the due date, and you reflected on why this was so. In this situation, you are asking yourself why my teacher was happy or was satisfied on me when I submitted my project. So again, your channel is your brain since it's just a self-talk, and the feedback came from yourself. Another example of interpersonal talk is, let's say you broke up with your boyfriend and your girlfriend, and then after you broke up, you are reflecting on yourself, or you're asking yourself, what went wrong? Was it my fault, or was it his or her fault? So that is for the interpersonal communication. Next, let's proceed now to the interpersonal communication. So interpersonal communication refers to communication between and among people and establishes personal relationship between and among them. In other words, interpersonal communication involves you and the other person or other people. You're now talking with at least one person or one or more people. From the word inter, which means two or more, including yourself. So again, when we say intrapersonal communication, it's just about yourself or you're talking to yourself. On the other hand, interpersonal communication means that you are talking with another person or other people. So again, traffic light reflection, just assess or reflect yourself based on the level of your understanding between the difference of interpersonal and intrapersonal communication. How about the types of interpersonal context? So there are four types of interpersonal context depending on the size of the sender or the receiver to whom you are talking with. Again, we have four types, which are number one, YAD or dyad. Number two, the small group. Number three, the public. And the number four, the mass communication. They have varying sizes when it comes to the person or people to whom we are talking with. Let us discuss one by one these types of interpersonal context. The first one we have the dyad or dyad. So it is a communication that occurs between two people. So in dyad or dyad, it's just between you and another person. For example, between student and his or her teacher, between a son and daughter and his or her mother or father. Let's say between the two lovers, between two best friends, or just between you and God when you are praying. So that is for the first type, dyad or yad. For example, you offered feedback on the speech performance of your classmate. The two people involved in this example are number one, you, and number two, your classmate. Example number two, you provided comfort to a friend who was feeling down. In this situation, it only involves you and your friend. You are the sender since you are providing comfort to your friend, and your friend is the receiver since he or she is listening to your way of comforting him or her. So that is for the dyad or dyad. It involves only two people in the communication. For the second type of interpersonal context, we have small group. A small group is a communication that involves at least three, but not more than 10 people engaging in a face-to-face interaction. From the word small group itself, it involves small number or small size of people. It's more than two, but not more than 10 people. Between 2 and 11 people. Small group. For example, you are participating in an organization meeting which aims to address the concerns of your fellow students. The people involved here in this example are you and your fellow officers in an organization. You and your fellow officers in an organization are not that big when it comes in the size and number. Second one, you're having a discussion with your group mates on how to finish the assigned task. The people involved here are you and your group mates. Usually, in groupings, each group consists of not more than 10 members. That is why it is considered as a small group. So we're done discussing the second type of interpersonal context. How about for public? So for public, it is a communication that requires you to deliver or send a message before or in front of a group. In this type of interpersonal context, it involves large number or size of people. Approximately, it's more than 10, but not more than 100,000. It depends upon the size of the people to whom you are talking with. That is the approximate size of the public communication. The channels are more exaggerated. The voice is louder and the gestures are more expansive. In other words, in delivering or in communicating in the public communication, you need to exert greater effort when it comes on your voice by speaking louder or with greater volume of your voice, and then you have now more gestures since you need to deliver effectively your message in front of the large number of people. How about for the examples of public communication? You deliver a graduation speech to your batch. In this situation, you're speaking in front of your fellow graduates. Usually, the number of your fellow graduates are more than 50, and sometimes it can be as many as 2,000 to 10,000 graduates. See, in that situation, you need to speak loudly since you should make sure that all of your fellow graduates, even the guests, the faculty members, the administrations, and the parents and guardians of your fellow graduates should hear your speech. Aside from that, you need also some gestures so that the listeners, especially your fellow graduates, can feel better the message or the meaning of your speech. Second one, you participate in a declamation or rhetorical or debate contest watched by a number of people. Again, you need to speak loudly so that everyone can hear your declamation or your claim in a debate. That is for the third type of interpersonal context, which is public. Again, Public communication means that you need to deliver your message in front of large number or large size of people. Last but not the least, we have the mass communication. This refers to communication that takes place through television, radio, newspaper, magazines, books, billboards, internet, and other types of media. In this type of interpersonal context, it involves the massive amount of people who can hear you speaking or delivering your message. From the word mass, which means massive. In other words, the number of people who can listen or hear your message may range from thousands to 10,000s to even millions and billions of people, as long as they can see or hear or they have the channel that is used in order to convey your message. So best example of mass communication is the news program, just like TV Patrol or 24 Oras. In TV Patrol and 24 Oras, they use a powerful channel, which is the television signal, in order to deliver the news to the massive amount of people or viewers. Aside from that, during the social media age, they're now also using the social media platforms to deliver the news to the netizens or to the internet or social media users. For example, you're a student journalist articulating your stand on current issues through the school paper. The channel in this example is the school paper or sometimes the school newspaper. It is considered as a mass communication since it can reach a massive amount of people as long as they have the copy, whether physically or digitally, of your school paper or school newspaper. Aside from that, even the programs in television or in, let's say, the vlogs or the podcast are also good examples of mass communication since massive number of people, again, or very large amount of people can watch and hear a specific program. As long as they have internet connection, as long as they have television or gadgets, they can watch and hear the program. So that is for the mass communication. Again, it is a communication wherein massive number or amount or size of people can hear and watch the message that you are conveying. Again, let's have a traffic light reflection. So that's all for today for our topic for week number 8, which is about the types of speech context and the speech context itself. Thank you so much for your time in watching and listening in this video, and have a great day. God bless you all and keep safe and healthy.